good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us to this point. I am going to take you on a little bit of a different kind of journey. So I will be talking about the bioeconomy and some of our work that we do within the Bioenergy Technologies Office at the U.S. Department of Energy. I'm a scientist. I guess I was a scientist. These days at DOE, I help our office identify pressing research and development challenges. What are the biggest barriers to developing technologies that can enter the market, and then support our federal investment of taxpayer dollars into these research investments. So I'm excited to talk to you about something I'm very passionate about, which is the bioeconomy. And I think to frame what the bioeconomy is, we have to take a step back and talk about the regular economy, the economy. So how do we get things now? I think everyone in here knows, but I just want to reinforce this point, that a lot of the stuff we get and use today is from petroleum. All of our fuels, biofuels are increasing in dominance, but using traditional petrochemical and petroleum refining, we have this typical process where you extract the oil, you refine it in these extraordinarily complex refineries that are designed to get us all of the different kinds of fuels and lubricants and stuff that we need to run our economy. So in addition to the things we prototypically think of as oil, about 20% of a barrel of oil goes to other things. Things like pharmaceuticals, food coloring, carpet, anything plastic. 6,000 individual chemicals are derived from petroleum. This is just some examples collected by our Office of Fossil Energy and Carbon Management that kind of exemplify the things we touch in our daily lives that we get from petroleum today. Paint, things in our cosmetics. Much of this is from petroleum. If anyone really likes to do yoga, all of your polyblend yoga clothes, hate to tell you, are made from oil. I don't know if that was me. Shoot. Okay. Which is kind of gross if you think about it. And the other consideration we have is, in addition to just these materials, is end of life. What happens when we're done with these materials? So beyond that, we know that the way we do things now has costs. So climate change is a big one that our office is focused on. Another one is kind of around environmental justice, so it's great to piggyback on that last conversation. We're really thinking about environmental justice in a serious way. So this is just a figure showing the state of Louisiana and what's commonly known as Cancer Alley, where you see a higher density of petroleum refineries and the very real and direct and significant increase in cancer burden on those communities that is causally correlated with the petrochemical refining. So we do this, we have a great economy, we have products that work, but we do have to consider the costs. So what do we do about this? This is where the Department of Energy comes in as one of the players to help think about this challenge. So I work here, well, I guess this doesn't work. I work in the Bioenergy Technologies Office on the bottom left, and we're situated within the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy. The parent office is around $3 billion a year in annual appropriations. My specific office has a budget of around $250, $260 million every year. So what do we do with those funds, and what are we trying to achieve? Just before I get into that, I wanted to explain why I'm here. So the Bioenergy Technologies Office is split about 50-50 between headquarters in Washington, D.C. We have the Forrestal building right on the National Mall, and then the other half of our office works on the NREL campus in Golden. So that's where I go one day a week for my in-person hybrid work. Okay, so what do we do? What are we trying to do with that money, and how are we trying to help solve this big problem? We have a multi-year program plan that outlines our main priorities. I'm just highlighting two of our main priorities here for the conversation today, which are decarbonization of transportation and decarbonization of industry. And we have very ambitious goals here with production of sustainable aviation fuel, as well as the production of renewable chemicals with substantial greenhouse gas reductions compared to the petroleum incumbent. So that's what we're trying to do. This is within a broader landscape within the federal government. There was an executive order that was published last year highlighting the importance and priority of biomanufacturing and biotechnology as a way to build the bioeconomy. Our office has been contributing to that substantially. We helped write 2 of the key reports that came out of that. So we're really trying to shape these national priorities for how can we make this vision a reality. Within DOE, we have another mechanism to highlight really big priorities. So when we have something that across DOE we identify as a big challenge, we put this in the energy Earth shot systems. It's like, imagine the moon shot, this is our Earth shot, how can we save the Earth? We participate crucially to 2 of these energy Earth shots. One is the industrial heat shot, which seeks to reduce the energy and heat required for traditional industrial processes. We are participating in that to say, yes, and how can we also design new bioprocesses to require less heat from the outside? We're also contributing and helped design the clean fuels and products shot, which really just says we really care about making clean fuels and clean products. Okay, so thinking about this is all nice, but what do I mean by a bioeconomy? What do I mean by getting these products? So this slide shows kind of just generally how do we turn the carbon we have, and we like to think of the carbon we have as carbon that's available, that's maybe a waste, and that's something that we aren't using for food, that's not a finite fossil resource, and how can we convert those diverse renewable resources into those 6,000 chemicals I mentioned came from petroleum. How can we turn those into the fuels we need in our current economy? So there are 2 main ways that we do this. So you have to take the feedstock, you have to turn that into something useful. So how do you do that? There are 2 main approaches that our office invests in, and one is a microbial biochemical conversion. This is where you engineer microorganisms to take in whatever feedstock you have, and you can tune that. This is what I actually used to do when I was a scientist. I would engineer the microbes to tune their metabolism, change their genetic code to say, instead of doing this process, we're actually going to insert genes that help you make this very specific product, and we're going to maximize the production of that through this engineering. So that's one way. And the other way, we also invest in a lot of catalysis and thermochemical conversion approaches. Some specific research and development efforts in this area, these are mostly biochemical conversion. The first 2 I'm going to mention are the Agile BioFoundry and the Advanced Biofuels and Bioproducts Process Development Unit. So these 2 investments are about $23 million a year, so they're pretty significant, and they're really seeking to build the infrastructure, maybe that's why I'm here, the infrastructure for a synthetic biology resource for the public. So we do things like, all of that microbial strain engineering, we do scale up, and these groups have been really successful, and they've had many, many partnerships, and they've enabled more than 15 commercial products to be developed and on the shelves today. So these are real technologies that are happening. You might be thinking fossil fuels, plastic. We have a very significant effort in plastic. So we're thinking about how can we design plastics that are made from renewable resources and that are easy to recycle. Right now, plastics do their job extraordinarily well. They're designed to last forever. So that makes recycling particularly hard when you're trying to fight against their original intended design. So we're thinking about how can we design plastics to serve their purpose, but then to be able to be recycled in an efficient manner. So that's one aspect. We're also doing a lot of work in how can we effectively and efficiently recycle existing plastics and then turn those and modify the chemistry so that way the resulting plastics that we're producing that were originally petrochemical in origin can then enter a more circular life cycle. So that's about $10 million a year. We have a bunch of other investments that stack on top of that, but this is just one consortium that we have dedicated to this plastics issue. We also are looking into this exciting area of direct carbon dioxide conversion. If you're thinking about reducing greenhouse gas levels, one of the easiest things you can do is take them out of the air and put them into durable goods. And so we have a lot of the CO2 direct conversion into useful products, technology investments as well. And then finally, you think about, okay, so you're making the products. If you're thinking about a fermentation vessel, it's got whatever you started with, maybe plastic waste, and then you have the microbes themselves, and then you have water. Oh, sorry. Then you have water. So how do you get the product out? There's also a bunch of other things, salt, different proteins that are secreted. It's kind of messy. So we have a whole consortium dedicated to efficiently separating these chemicals that are produced in these systems. Similarly, even from a catalysis system, you have very expensive ways you can get things out, like distillation or crystallization, but these things are very challenging to scale in an economic manner, and so we're thinking about how can we energy efficiently isolate these products that we need so that we can have a pure product in hand to sell to a consumer or to a producer. Okay, just to dive a little bit more deeply into one of these examples, which is the Agile BioFoundry. If you're curious, you can go check out their website. I won't go into terribly too much detail here. You can kind of see this as an example of what they do. They partner a lot with industry. They have a machine learning tool that they've developed to help predict the performance of different systems and help generate kind of non-rational predictions for improved engineering. Very exciting stuff. New genetic engineering approaches, ability to engineer non-model organisms, and things like that. So a huge range of tools and capabilities that we have invested in over many years. Okay, so we've spent a lot of money. So how are we doing? There are actually quite a lot of companies making bioproducts today. So think about that slide with the 6,000 chemicals we get from petroleum. There are a lot of companies that are making bioproducts today that use these engineered microbes to produce the products. We even have a partnership between Lululemon and one of the companies that our office had supported some earlier stage R&D, and now they sell a shirt made from renewable nylon. So they've been sold out, but if you try to search for it, maybe you can catch when they're available, and you can be one of the few people who has non-petroleum-based yoga wear. So beyond that, we can think about greenhouse gas savings. This chart shows, I'm not showing the specific companies here, but just a few of the companies that we've invested in have already made really big impacts in reducing the greenhouse gas production. So by 2026, there are a couple plants that are planned to be built, will exceed 1 million metric tons CO2 reduced per year from these companies that are making products using engineered microbes. So it's very cool, and this is happening. It's expanding extraordinarily rapidly. And this is equivalent to 359 passenger cars off the road. So this is a large amount of carbon that we're saving by moving to a renewable approach. There are many benefits to this beyond just having a renewable product. Okay, so I'll talk just for a few moments about transportation. Our office is within the Office of Transportation within DOE, so we're very focused on that as well. Our main transportation focus is on sustainable aviation fuel. We contributed to Sustainable Aviation Fuel Grand Challenge. I'll just call it SAF to make it easier, as well as the National Blueprint for Transportation Decarbonization. So what are we doing in this space? We've made a huge amount of investments over the years into sustainable aviation fuel. These are just a few of the recipients who have received funding from our office to produce different kinds of SAFs. And then if we think about what's happening in the real world, there are planes today flying on some percentage of SAF, which is very exciting. So this is also, again, in the real world. And this is just a figure showing the companies and their offtake agreement volume. So this is in billions of liters. So you can see the GEVO is the leading one. They have 9.3 billion liters in offtake agreements confirmed. And GEVO is local to Inglewood. So this is a local company doing this. Very awesome. Okay, so this is just to highlight that this is happening now. This figure shows the increase in SAF being consumed by US, the jet fleet. So you can see it's increasing. It's still a small fraction of the overall jet, but this is a very real technology that's being deployed today. And many of the airlines, the main airlines, have very significant decarbonization and sustainability goals with very ambitious commitments to use SAF moving into the future. And you can see the companies that they've particularly worked with there as well. Gevo's, I think, obviously one of the main ones. And then, yeah, there are flights also that have shown you can fly on 100% SAF, even though that's not, the norm. So with that, I would like to direct you to our office's website. This giant QR code can take you to our office if you're interested in learning more, and I will be around after the last talk today in case anyone has any questions, if you're curious about bioeconomy. But thanks for your attention and your patience in moving into a little bit of a different area.